Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Equine Episode Examination, where today we will be talking about the new episode "Rock Solid Friendship" from this past Saturday. So, welcome to the show, everyone. Someone was honking at someone outside. I was like, what the heck? It sounded like someone was about to crash into something. If this is your first time watching Equine Episode Examination, welcome. Just give a brief introduction. So we record these episodes live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're watching this on a recording, if you want to come in and join in the chat, you just have to come on over to CinemaQuestria.com around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And that's when we record it. So pretty much what we do is we're just going to talk about this past weekend's new episode of MLP and give our opinions on it, how we feel, maybe dive into it and kind of analyze it a little bit. 'Cause, our first impressions as being that it's been just a few days, what we like, what we didn't like, and it's kind of a big group discussion here, both with those of us here in the call and everyone in chat as well. So everyone has a chance to kind of say how they feel about the episode, and we can dive into deeper discussions on specific topics that people feel about with the episode. So I'm Rain Shadow, by the way, and a few other people here in the call if they want to introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, it's Mr. Ben.
This is Jay Smith.
And now, with that all out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So yeah, Rock Solid Friendship. What does everyone think about the initial thoughts, overall thoughts about the episode?
It was a rock solid episode.
I knew someone was going to make that pun. I was trying to think who's going to make it.
Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
Well, he took the words right out of my mouth. If he wasn't going to say it, I was, so.
So, yep, I mean...
But yeah, it was a very enjoyable episode. It was an odd episode. I'm glad that she got some character development, and they basically opened the door to have her appear even more often, and they even had at Starlight have a new member of her ever-growing assortment of friends. So
yeah, it's like this episode really cements like Nick Conflone is one of my favorite writers of the series. The current writers, I guess, of the series. Recent episodes. It's kind of sad that will be his only episode this season because I mean last season he really knocked it out of the park with one of my favorite episodes that season, Saddle Road Review. Very hilarious, very funny episode. I think he's one of the best writers in the series, but definitely the best comedy writer. I think he just really has a knack of getting humor down in the show with these characters and getting it done, very, very well within the context of the show. And it really proved that again here as he takes on a mod episode here, and just like the past couple of few mod episodes we've had, all tackled by different writers, or at least episodes where mod has been involved, and even if it isn't a mod focused episode, really kind of knocking her personality out of the park. And this is I'm trying to think of all the mod episodes we've had. She obviously made an appearance in Hearthbreakers, in Make New Friends But Keep Discord. Was there any other episodes besides her initial appearance that I'm forgetting about? Or
she was involved in that one season 6 episode where it was the sister episode where she and Pinky and Rarity went to Manhattan.
Yes, that's the other one. I knew I was forgetting one for it. So yeah, this is kind of our third mod focused sort of episode. There's been some other the other ones I listed. She was sort of either just kind of a side character in the episode or one of many other characters in the episode. But man, all the writers really knocked her out of the park, and Nick just did. Nick just did very well with her character as well, and you'd think after all these episodes, like maybe that character would sort of start getting boring or repetitive or something, but he found a way and made it really enjoyable. So overall, I just really enjoyed this episode in so many ways, from humor to the characters to the story and sort of what the episode overall means. Yeah, I don't really count. Yeah, I wouldn't really count Piggy Prep. Yeah, I mentioned Make New Friends and Keep Discord because that's where she was like, well, kind of like a side character there, and she had a couple good lines, but wasn't really the focus.
Yeah. There was also that minor cameo in the Cutie remark in that alternate future, and then also we got Rainbow Rocks, but Rainbow Rocks really isn't that.
Yeah,
it's kind of its own separate thing.
Yeah, and all of those things were just kind of very quick appearances and stuff. So I was just trying to think if I was forgetting any other episodes where she was heavily involved in. And yeah, it was just the one last season. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the gift to the Mod Pie in last season.
Yeah, and the harsh swarming episode.
Yeah, I mentioned that one, Heartbreakers.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, Heartbreakers.
Although that wasn't really. She was again just more of a not really the focus. It was kind of a side character with all the rest of the family there. So with that, we can kind of dive in here and get to the story and the writing of the episode. So as we mentioned, this episode was written by Nick Confalone. He's written quite a few episodes of the show, of it. We mentioned Heartbreakers. He wrote Heartbreakers, so he has some familiarity with Maud and the rest of Pinkie Pie and her Pinkie Pie's sisters there. His first episode was the Yak Yakistan one with the Yaks, all the way back in season 5, and more recently, last season, he also did, which is kind of fitting, as he did not only Heartbreakers, which introduced Pinkie Pie's family, but also wrote No Second Prances last season, which was another one of my favorite episodes. And then, of course, that was sort of Starlight's first solo episode outside of the 2-part opener there, since she was reformed. And of course, the episode where Starlight gained her first friend and Trixie there. So kind of fitting here. He's writing another episode where she's gaining a new friend here. But yeah, I mean, I really think he knocked this one out of the park. I mean, it's just it's sad to review. I'm just like, oh man, that episode was so funny. But this one was funny, but it also had that a really kind of strong character center and emotional center to it as well.
I really like how we got a lot of character development specifically for Maud, and a surprising little bit of little thing for Starlight as well. Who knew that Starlight liked heights?
But yeah, I really like how he worked in that kind of tie-in to the pre-reformed Starlight as well. And we have that little flashback there with Maud sort of letting Starlight know where that cutie mark rock face that she wound up storing all the cutie marks in. Kind of an interesting look into like how that time and what Starlight was doing is that time, because it's obvious she hadn't found that rock to store all the cutie marks yet, but she'd already begun recruiting ponies to the village, as we can see from that shot, because we can see a few homes there already exist, as well as a few equalized ponies already down there wandering throughout the village. If you look closely, they're in their equalized, very, very pastel straight hair forms. So kind of like, of course, Starlight herself had an equal cutie mark, her fake equal cutie mark in that scene as well. It's kind of interesting because you must think, she must be storing them somewhere at the time, because she's obviously already doing the spell to remove the cutie marks. So I'm assuming that she's probably storing them at this time in like jars, like she did with the main sixes one, and she does with her anger, and on a couple episodes ago there. And I guess she was looking for a better place to store them. Because I'm assuming as her village was growing rapidly, and we can tell the village is growing rapidly because we can see a lot of additional buildings under construction and a lot of empty plots where, when you go back to the season 5 episode, you can see they all make a straight line, two straight equal lines. So I'm assuming she was probably running out of space in terms of storing them in jars. But it's just kind of a nice little tiny moment that provides a little bit additional context and a kind of a funny backstory as to how Starlight wound up finding that rock face. And of course, Pinkie Pie's response to that: "Hey, let's not tell any pony that part where you maybe for sure accidentally helped Starlight enslave a town." Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't run this joke into the ground already. 3 episodes in, and we're just seriously. Are we gonna bring this up every single episode?
Yes. Who knew that Maud ended up causing Starlight to fulfill her evil plot?
Completely unwittingly at that.
But you gotta love Maud's response to that. Well, she hasn't enslaved any pony recently, right? So. And we mentioned Starlight's obsession with kites, which is really kind of adorable and funny throughout the episode. It's funny though because there was actually a little bit of hidden continuity in last season's episode. In season 6's Every Little Thing She Does, when it's the episode where we first see Starlight's room in the castle. There's actually a few kites on the floor in the room there in that episode. So kind of, I guess, a call forward. I don't know if I would really call that a callback, but a little bit of a little visual setup last season to this episode. Yeah, I really like kites. Don't judge me. And this is kind of this was really, I guess really just overall story wise was really unexpected for me. I mean, I had read the synopsis and I knew kind of what it involved in terms of Maud coming to Ponyville and considering moving there, and obviously Pinkie Pie being very excited for that. But I was totally taken by surprise about Starlight being involved in this episode at all, both because we've already had quite a few Starlight episodes this season, and I just didn't see that coming, and it was really, I think, one of the most pleasant surprises that I've ever experienced in this television show before. It worked out really well, and I really loved where they went with it. It was just really one of the most unexpected stories and kind of character building experiences I've had in the series. And of course, this kind of leads Starlight to actually having 5 friends now, sort of with between Sunburst, Trixie, Discord, Thorax, and now Maud. Kind of, she has her own main 6 kind of group of friends here, like Twilight has now with this edition as well. Totally was not expecting that to happen this episode. Yeah, it's kind of okay, we're setting up for Maud episode. Pinkie Pie's trying her best to try and show her rocks around here. Okay, we're going here at the episode, and then we get to the part where Maud's like, well, I'm kind of looking for a friend, and I'm like, oh, so this episode's kind of taking a little turn now, giving some more development to Maud here. And then Starlight comes out and oh, they kind of have maybe a little guest appearance from Starlight, and have a little joke or two, but then they just all of a sudden they start rolling with them. Oh my God, they're actually kind of going with this, and it worked out really well. Yeah, I wonder how Trixie would handle Maud. Maybe we'll see that in the future. I think that's one of the favorite things to come out of this episode is the prospect of actually getting to see Maud more in the future, now that she's living so close to Ponyville and is friends with Starlight as well. So be interesting to see how they. I've said this a lot this season already, but be interesting to see kind of where they go with that going forward. I believe it was Ponyville adjacent.
That's it, Ponyville adjacent.
Ponyville adjacent. It's such a very geographic, like geography major term. Anyone that may have taken classes in geography or geographic information systems, it's definitely something that Maud would say. I also really just I love the dialogue and how well it's written. I mean, both in between Maud and Starlight as well. And I really loved Starlight's directness in the episode, like when Pinkie Pie woke her up at the in that final kind of half of the episode there, when she's like, you know what, jalapeno and red velvet omelets just sound gross. I just can't. And she goes back to sleep. And then, of course, after that, again, still talking to Pinkie there, but you sort of got in the way. Let's go with you ruined everything all the time. Doesn't really quite know how to be kind with those words right there. She's very blunt about what she says. Keep in mind, the rock chasm, the ghastly gorge there is that's a reoccurring place in the series. We've seen that before in the series, and made the best pet win all the way back in season 2. So it's been a while, and of course we even see the quarry eels that appeared in that episode again in this episode, and with Maud sort of being eaten by one. So nice little bit of location continuity there. Yeah, Starlight, Mr. Bend. I agree. She's definitely kind of in the right there. It's like, no, no, Pinkie, no. But I think this episode was also paced very well. I feel like it flowed very well from scene to scene. We kind of went through a lot of different things in here, starting off with, Maud's graduation, and then getting to the part of, Maud might be considering moving to Ponyville, and it's a rock-based decision. But then we go along and say, well, no, she's more choosing Ponyville because she kind of wants to make a friend, and the whole bit with Starlight and Maud, and we kind of put that through some tension because of Pinkie and resolve it. I think everything flowed very nicely and was paced real well. Nothing really overstayed its welcome or really felt like it was going too quick. They left the right amount of time. Nick left the right amount of time for the emotional parts that needed to hit and all the points that needed to be hit, while still working in a ton of comedy and the storyboarding team working in a lot of different visual gags as well. Oh, God. Mr. Ben.
I apologize for nothing.
Is there anything else for story and writing specifically? That's really all I had. I think most of the stuff that I had written was character and and humor, but a lot of more stuff to discuss in character. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say you pretty much took out everything I was going to mention. Most of the stuff that I wanted to mention was mainly just character related as well. So
I mean, it's really well written and really, I think, just a really good story and like I said, unexpected storytelling, and Nick really hammers the humor out of the park. But yeah, like I said, moving on to characters here, I think that surprising amount of character development in this for Starlight and for Maud, of which hasn't really gotten a ton of character development besides she really cares for Pinkie. So we kind of see a little more of that for her in this episode. In a lot of ways. So how does everyone feel about the characterization in here? We can start with whoever anyone wants to start with in terms of characters.
I guess I'll go mention. I actually mentioned this on the discus area, but in terms of Pinky,
Good place to start.
Pinky, yeah, Pinky is. I'm just gonna get this out of the way now. I mentioned this both in the discus and on the IRC back on Saturday, after the discussion or after the episode. But I love Pinky. She's one of my favorite characters, and I understand why she, was acting the way she did, because, like you mentioned, I mean, her favorite sister's deciding to move to Ponyville. She's incredibly excited. She's incredibly nervous about making this happen, and she really wants to make sure that, her sister's gonna be within practically a stone's throw. Pardon the pun.
Fuck. Continue.
Anyway, so the thing is, though, in this particular episode, Pinky just annoyed the piss out of me. Like, really, really annoyed me. Like, even more so than Philly Vanilli, and that's saying something. This, however, is not a bad thing, not by a long shot, because some of my favorite parts in any work in any medium, be it a TV show, film, web original video, and video games, so on and so on, are basically whenever characters tend to really evoke an emotional response within me, be it positive or negative. And I've had situations, not just in this series as well and this show, but others where characters have gone through some really emotional breakups or some emotional turmoil, and I just can't help but empathize. And I'll cry with them when they become incredibly depressed, or whenever they get incredibly excited, then I may get excited for them. But a lot of times, in the case of this episode, I mean, it was nice to be with Pinky, because I kind of got excited with her that, hey, favorite sister's coming in. And it was kind of cute the first couple of times she started jumping up and inserting herself between Maud and Starlight. But then by the time the third time she kind of just popped herself into the screen, I just kind of wanted to slap her. And like, for fuck's sake, Pinky, you just, God damn it.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll piggyback off that. I'll probably wind up saying a lot of the same things Mr. Ben said there. It's kind of one of the questions I wanted to raise to everyone here and see what everyone's opinion was on this. Is Pinkie Pie written poorly in this episode? And of course, immediately a lot of people saying Philly Vanilli 2.0, and it's kind of sad we weren't able to get to that episode before the season started, being that was we were supposed to do that as the last episode before the season, and before some other things came up, and we had to push it back, unfortunately, because that would have been funny. But yeah, for me personally, as other people in the chat here say their opinions, I really say no. I mean, I agree with Mr. Ben that, yeah, she was really hyperactive and really, in your face kind of, shut up, Pinky, I want to slap you, stop it, you're ruining everything. But, I mean, like I said, she's in the wrong and incredibly hyperactive, but at least in this case, even more so than Philly Vanilli, I think it makes sense, like, why she's that way. As Mr. Ben said, she's incredibly excited at the prospect of Maud moving to Ponyville. I mean, this is her favorite and closest sister, I would say, who's we've already shown in the show multiple times to have a really close connection with. And that sister is potentially moving close to Pinky here in Ponyville. So, of course, she's going to be super excited about this. But then, however, at the same time, Pinky's really super nervous about it as well, because Maud hasn't fully decided yet, and she's not for sure 100% moving to Ponyville. And this is sort of the perfect storm of Pinky being nervous-sighted, as she would say, here, and it really goes overboard because it's Maud. So, of course, she's going to be doing everything in her power here in this episode to try and get Maud to want to move to Ponyville. And, of course, she's going to wind up being Pinky, going overboard with that there. First, by showing her how many rocks, are there in Ponyville. And then when she finds out that Maud wants to make some friends and eventually, starts making friends with Starlight, we can see, Pinkie Pie really, really going overboard with trying to have Maud make friends and having Maud be friends with Starlight. And then we can see this especially as Pinkie Pie becomes a lot more and more desperate as trying to find an interesting rock in Ponyville for Maud, or more and more desperate trying to get Maud and and Starlight to become friends there. So while Pinky's like very frantic and annoying throughout the episode, I mean, you can really truly see how much Maud moving to Ponyville means for her, and you can really see that when Maud decides to leave and Pinkie Pie just really kind of stops the hyperactivity and really just kind of breaks down and is extremely depressed and sad then, just kind of all the way to the other end of the spectrum. So it's like, yeah, like exactly what Mr. Ben said, and but I don't think that's a negative in terms of like the writing, like some other people have said, simply because it makes sense for her character and just because of how much Maud means to her. Yeah, yeah. What Radio Dog said there as well. Very true. Yeah, in the end, she apologized, and it was kind of understandable why she was acting like that. Yeah.
For her fault, she did realize she was in the wrongs. So, so I can only be so mad. But this is not the first time that we've also seen her act like this too. I mean, if I may, pull up Friend in Need from season 2 with Cranky Noodle Donkey.
She's very into making friends.
I know a lot of people kind of had a bit of a sour taste in their mouth when Cranky agreed to be her friend kind of at the end, and Pinky didn't seem to be very apologetic for that. At first, anyway.
Well, he only let's be truthful. He only became was happy with Pinky at the end because Pinky was going to get him laid. So. Another thing with Pinky, we can really see how much Pinky kind of cares about Maud and. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, cares, but different way. When like Starlight calls her weird at the end of the when they're talking in Starlight's room at the end of the episode, and Pinky gets extremely angry really quickly, like very, very, very defensive of her sister, and that's something we've seen from Pinky before, and it's kind of funny to see because usually she's really happy and bubbly and very over the top excited, but if you insult Maud, watch your or break a pinky promise. Well, watch your back. Yeah, but it's also interesting. I really love the characterization with Maud in this episode herself. It's just not something I wasn't expecting to get that much of. I mean, first right off the bat, we sort of get a kind of character arc progression in terms of her life arc, I guess you could say. We knew that Maud was kind of in college, studying rocks and whatnot from past episodes, and here we see at the beginning of the episode her graduating and getting her doctorate in whatever rock major she's in there. So it was kind of a nice little bit of character progression right off the bat for her there. Mr. Ben, I loved Maud's description of Pinky. She's I forget exactly. It was something like she there's no middle ground for Pinky. there's no sort of excited for Pinky. It's funny just how different her and Pinky are, but how well they get along as sisters.
It's just reminded back to her first episode. It's like, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't share my enthusiasm quite the same way my sister does. Like, real? No shit.
And of course, we get to hear Maud's full name as well, Maudalena Daisy Pie. I guess the Pie sisters must all have D middle names, with Pinky being Pinkamena Diane Pie.
Well, to be fair, Maudalena is indeed a real life name, and Pinky, while not a real official name, it is practically a real enough nickname to where it could potentially be accepted as such almost. But then we've got Marble and Limestone, and I'm not entirely sure how they could. Yeah, Marbleina might probably be worked, but I'm not entirely sure what the hell they're going to be able to do with Limestone.
Limestone-alina. I don't think that works.
Yeah, that just doesn't quite roll off the tongue. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they'll have like D middle names or anything of that nature. Like Diane, Daisy.
Yeah. Maud isn't a type of rock, though, right? As far as I know.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it's only Maud and Pinky who have like those full names, because their names aren't rocks. Well, of course, Limestone and Marble are, so. Because Pinkamena and Pinky definitely is not a rock type.
See, I've always joked that if Pinky's family were in the world of like Avatar, like Legend of Aang or something, Legend of Korra, Pinky would be like the only airbender among a family of earthbenders.
Yeah. Totally.
I guess that technically makes her Opal then. Only not.
Well, those were all in the Earth Kingdom too, as well. So I guess it fits.
So, technically, Opal's family were mainly metal benders, but they were still technically,
Yeah, technically,
Yeah.
technically Earthbenders, I guess. But yeah, in addition to Maud getting that full name drop and progressing in terms of sort of her character arc there, she got a lot of other character development as well in the episode. We kind of see her, like, now she's kind of also getting lonely in terms of just being with rocks, and is looking kind of for friendship as well, and it was kind of a little bit different than what we've seen from her character in the past. So it's interesting to kind of see her now looking for the friend. And while she never really breaks her cold and calm demeanor in the episode, we do see her smile a few times as she takes a liking to Starlight. And really, through Ingrid Nilsson's really great voice acting still for Maud, you can still kind of hear sort of some emotion through the really kind of cold, monotone voice. All the way from, like, quote-unquote excitement to quote-unquote annoyance, with Pinky at the end there. He doesn't really break that monotone voice, but there's some emphasis behind it that kind of conveys a little bit of emotion, which was really well done by Ingrid Nilsson there. But I mean, it's just great seeing her get some more character development and some more character for herself as well, especially someone who's so stone cold, rock hard in terms of her personality. And yeah, it's really unexpectedly kind of turns into it's kind of an unexpected Starlight episode as well. Like, I mean, not many things were more unexpected for me, at least, than that in this episode. That's not expected to have Starlight be that involved in the episode.
I was kind of grinning when Starlight came in because I remember back in season 6 I was joking about we needed to see more Starlight, and here it is. This is like the 3rd episode in a row that she's come
have
in.
all the Starlight.
And I'm just laughing at oh, I wonder if my prediction is originally coming true or something like that.
It's
just, like a season later.
It's like the writers are just seeing all the Starlight hate and like, oh, everyone hates Starlight. Let's make her go away. We're gonna fake an opening of Twilight sending her away, and then we're just gonna shove Starlight episodes down your throat like the ultimate troll.
And I kind of happen to like how, people have just been kind of previously complaining that Starlight is just kind of stealing the spotlight whenever she appears in an episode, or she just simply doesn't appear in the show outside enough, outside of cameos. Blech. I'm sorry for tripping over my own tongue here. But this episode, like you said, I mean, this isn't about Starlight. I mean, she does appear, but she's not 100% hogging the screen. She actually allows for Pinky and Maud to have their time in the limelight here. And I really like that. I mean...
Yep.
It's always nice to get some focus on, characters who I think really need to have that focus. I mean, she's not taking precedence over the plot. She feels a far more natural feeling character. And she's actually one of the few characters to actually respond to Pinky's antics with anything other than just blissful dismissiveness as well. And actively calls her out on it, too.
Yep.
So, like I said earlier in the chat room, I mean, sometimes you have to be gentle. Sometimes you just have to give them with both barrels. I was like, no, don't apologize for being honest. Just, if you feel that way, then just be open with it. It's like jumping into a pool of water. Yeah, the water's cold, but it's better just jump in and get it over with than slowly come in through the frickin' staircase. That's just my opinion, anyway.
And it was just fantastic seeing her make another friend in this episode, and sort of the dynamic that she builds with Maud, and why she builds in sort of the connection that they make with each other. This is seeing a lot of the similarities between Starlight and Maud. I mean, they obviously still have different personalities in a lot of ways, but they have a lot of similarities as well too that they wind up bonding with over in the episode. Sort of like how they both really don't like talking about their feelings, and we see Starlight mention that kind of in the middle of the episode when she's first introduced to Maud, and we see Maud mentioning that to Starlight at the end of the episode as well, saying, "Oh, it just doesn't mean we're going to have to start talking about our feelings, does it?" And it was nice seeing that Maud finding someone that sort of gets her in Starlight as well. It's sort of like what Maud was talking about when she was talking to Pinky in the episode, that the problem isn't finding someone that Maud likes, but someone that really kind of understands or gets Maud. And seeing the similarities they have as well, both have issues with being judged as well. I think one of my favorite kind of character moments in the episode was when Pinky tells Starlight that Maud had decided to move to Ghastly Gorge, and you can see Starlight get really visibly upset. Like, I mean, she making friends, and really means a lot to her now, and obviously she really had that connection with Maud, so she was really very visibly upset when she found out that Maud wasn't sticking around.
I kind of like how this wasn't really intentional, but I kind of couldn't help but laugh at the line when Pinky was like mentioning to Starlight and Maud that when she takes a picture of them and says it'll be something to show their grandfoals, it could probably be read as like the grandfoals that Starlight and Maud may share, like together.
You can't take that out of context at all.
Like, implications.
Come on, Pinky. Shipping Starlight with people is Twilight's job. Yep, definitely. There, DM12 going back to Starlight and her abandonment issues with that we, of course, with Sunburst. I can't wait for the shipping war.
Oh man, speaking of shipping wars, I can't wait for the Big Mac episode. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
No spoilers.
I'm not going into any more detail than that. I'm just gonna say Big Mac episode and leave it at that.
Yeah, Boulder just isn't doing enough for her in terms of having a friend. She needs something more flesh based.
I could go for a pun on that one, but I kind of want to keep this family raid, so I'm not gonna go there.
Moving on. See, anything else for the character discussion that anyone wants to talk about? Let's see. We can move on next to the voice acting. Anything that stood out for the voice acting for anyone? I already kind of mentioned Ingrid Nilsson's just great voice acting as Maud. Every time Maud appears, she's just written really well and consistently well, and of course the voice acting for her is also just consistently really well done, and she does such a great job of conveying emotion without actually really conveying emotion, and just all the lines are just delivered so perfectly in that deadpan tone.
Yeah, like I mentioned, when Maud was actually getting exasperated with Pinky. I mean, she didn't raise her voice, she didn't actually emote or anything, but you could just tell that even with her just subtle, it's just those little subtle little nuances in her facial expressions and the size that you could tell that even she's getting at a rope's end with her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and it's really well done.
I mean, yeah, they just do such a great job of conveying that without, really making her emote at all.
Exactly.
I think there's this what was it? Um, Something called Show Don't Tell. I think they actually followed that really easily.
Mm-hmm. And Kelly Sheridan again as Starlight just continues to be really, really great with Starlight this season. From like the kite lines, which are delivered really well, to some of the more other lines, like when she removes the cowbells off of them, she's like, "Oops," and just sort of walks away. There's a lot of really good little lines that she delivered throughout the episode.
Again, like I said, while Pinky herself as a character just annoyed me the hell out of me, Andrea Livman was just bang on target with the characterization for her. Just voicing Pinky to the absolute highest degree on this one. She really brought it home.
Yeah, both with the frantic times and also those more emotional times when she was really sad, especially at the end there.
Say that sarcastic, "Oops, my clumsy self actually technically caused a cave-in with the dynamite." I'm like, accidental, my ass, you idiot.
and that emotional kind of speech that she gives is Maud is sort of hanging on for dear life there at the end of the episode. So moving on to another big portion of the episode was humor, and again Nick Conflin just really kills it again with the humor, like he's done so many of his episodes here. It's almost too much to talk about in terms of that, but we'll try and hit a few things here.
Okay, well, I loved how, like, right at the very beginning, we had Maud's graduation ceremony by itself. I mean, Maud's the only person in her class actually graduating, and likewise, the only people in attendance are her family and Boulder, who for some reason has a tiny little rock chair made specifically for him.
On top of the normal chair.
On top of the normal chair, yes. And
I in that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pinky just being overly enthusiastic at the whole time, and even where limestone and marble are practically covering their ears.
Everyone just looks so annoyed at her. He's like, "Come on, Pinky." Definitely the pink sheep of the family. I just really liked when they announced Maud as Dr. Pie, and Pinky's like, "Dr. Pie, Dr. Pie, Rockter Pie," and fucking Limestone's just like, it's this huge eye roll at it.
Let's say the doctor is in the house. Let's say, speaking of Boulder, I actually kind of like how they had that little lumberjack thing with Boulder later on.
And also, at Maud's graduation, I had the little tiny chair from Boulder.
I mentioned that, yeah.
Oh, you did.
But that's fine.
That tiny chair on a chair.
Just
how many people were they expecting to come for this graduation? Because they laid out multiple rows of chairs here for one person.
Maybe they expected Maud to have more friends than she really had. I'm not sure.
It's metaphorical.
Let's say we had Maud's interactions with the other, especially Rarity. Like, Rarity's like, "What are you doing in Ponyville?" "I'm talking to you."
Maud, good old Maud and her bluntness.
And then
Directness.
Maud's speech where she starts speaking and she says like one line and Pinky's like, yeah, speech. She's like, Pinky, I'm not done. And then she goes on to say one more line and then finishes. Hi, I'm Maud. Thank you.
Like, yeah, I'm Maud. Hi, thank you. And she just goes off. Oh, brilliant.
A freaking Pinkie Pie full name dropping Lyra Heartstrings and like trying to claim it's a rock shaped like her. And then Bonbons is like, no, I don't like this. And pushes her away.
Bonbon just ain't having any of her nonsense. Maud is not seeing what's so different about Twilight Crystal Castle compared to any other crystal that they found growing from something or any other structure built from minerals.
Yeah, and poor Rarity with Maud's like, these are all really common gems. And Rarity just starts crying.
And you see her, and then as they're leaving you see her just sadly sorting through it, taking them all out of the basket and just looking over all of them.
Spike trying to comfort her.
One of my favorite things in the episode was the unexpected appearance of Derpy.
Yeah.
Twice, no less, actually. She showed up twice in the episode. The second time was when Pinky actually came up in a pizza costume and threw the pizza box at Derpy where it bounced right off her head.
And then she runs out to fetch it
She's like, Derpy's angry about getting hit in the face with the pizza, but wait, free pizza. She's like, oh, okay. And of course the whole thing of Pinky being a pizza pie. There's also earlier in the episode where Pinkie Pie has like a complete deflation, like a balloon, proving that she's 99% hot air.
One of my favorite lines in the entire episode was Maud saying to Starlight, "I didn't get a doctorate because I can shred on a guitar like no one else." I'm like, yes, I love it because that's like one of my favorite gags with the Pie family is that them growing up on a rock farm is them learning how to just be able to play guitar.
And of course, really and of course, the delivery of that line in that monotone voice is just. Oh.
I'm really hoping that Maud was just being sarcastic and that she really can shred on guitar like no one else, but just as like a hobby more so than anything. It was actually kind of interesting because one of my favorite things about this particular episode, aside from Derpy and that one line, is that the revelation that Maud actually likes to do stand-up comedy, and. When she was talking with Starlight, she's like, I know of a rocks that could have you easily conquer Equestria. and Starlight just kind of looks over at Maud like, are you joking?
and then Maud's like, am I? It's just that whole exchange was great.
You just can't tell if Maud's actually just being serious or if she's just giving her shit.
With the right stone, you could rule all of Equestria if you wanted to. I think Twilight might want to know about that.
I loved that. Just and so yeah, I just loved how like Starlight just kind of just rolls with it and takes it as a joke, but you can't tell if she's being joking or not.
There's also the when they're at the castle there and Pinky's like, some pony could come barreling through that door at any second, and then just pause, and then eventually Starlight comes through there and runs into Maud, and Maud on the ground after being hit, she's just like, and that's all she responds to that with.
Subversion, double subversion. Oh, some of my favorite types of gags. And then, like we mentioned earlier, just Starlight being brutally honest with Pinky.
Just the whole thing about Starlight being being obsessed with kites. I just love the line where they're out. She's flying the kite with Maud, and she gets onto all these really technical lingo about kites and stuff, and then she just looks at Maud, like her pupils dilate, and she's like, I really like kites. It was really cute.
I loved how Maud was simply not giving a toss when she's nearly getting eaten by the eel, and it takes Pinky like literally dragging her out of the eel's mouth before Maud even notices that she was actually in mortal peril.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that after they was running away, Maud wound up dangling precariously off of a cliff, and Pinky starts to apologize. But then it turns out that ledge was like maybe all of 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah, that whole thing in the cave with Pinkie Pie, like Raider Duck said, Pinkie Pie with the random dynamite there that she just cartoony dynamite plunger that pulls out of nowhere. Whoops! That looks like I'm tripping.
Maud actually is like, get a shot, boy, to her bolt, and throws her pebble up into the top of the ceiling and causes a second cave-in that actually gets them out. And then Starlight goes on to praise Boulder and not Maud.
Well, of course, it was Boulder's doing. You get Pinkie Pie when Maud's over and they're about to go to bed. There, she's almost taking a cue from Twilight there with the math and like lists and stuff that she's doing. It's like, what was your smile to frown ratio? And then of course it's the first time we heard a squee in a long time. How many times did you make this face? I don't think we've heard a squee in at least a season.
See, I don't think we've actually seen or heard one of that there. Excuse
me. Going back to the scene in what's it called, Ghastly Gorge, when they're running away from the eels, and Maud's like, I even made a new friend. Is it a rock? Yes. It was the perfect pause before Maud says yes there. It just makes it so hilarious. Again, still keeping the monotone voice and stuff, but just the right comedic timing there for the line makes it just a hilarious line.
So I love, like, right at the final scene when Pinky just kind of butts in on Starlight and Maud one last time. They just kind of treat Pinky with like, seriously, and
get the fuck out.
Pinky sheepishly decides to leave, and she walks off screen. But then she comes back having the exit's this way. Pinky and Maud just kind of bonding right at the end again. It was like, oh, Maud, I love you bigger than all of Equestria, and you melt my heart more easily than sodium-rich Felgulus. Like Yo-Class Feldspar. I don't know what that means, but please give me another chance.
See, anything else for humor anyone wants to mention?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
I think we hit all the funniest things.
Yeah.
Like I said, there is a lot of small things in here. Animation and visual wise, there's a good amount of stuff too. I really love that new underground location where Maud eventually at the end of the episode takes up residence in.
Apparently, Mon and Starlight discovered the Genesis Cave.
There's another visual callback as well. At one point, when they were in the cave with Rarity, right before they're about to leave, Pinky pulls out a giant crystal check mark, which is it's a callback to the season 2 episode with Smile Song in it, where she pulls out a big felt check mark.
A friend in need,
Yeah.
or a friend in deed, or whatever it was.
Yep. There's another little thing that you might have missed, is that at the very beginning of the episode, when they're on the train, Pinky mentions making Best Sister Friends Forever slippers to Maud, and then we see Maud wearing them at the very end of the episode in that final scene when they're in the cave. Yeah, there's also just tying into humor, there's way too many like hilarious Pinky faces in this episode, and I really appreciate the really cartoony expressions they used versus like more stock expressions. They really follow more closely to the storyboard style of if you've ever seen like storyboards for the series, they look a lot more closer to what the storyboarder actually drawed, rather than just trying to maybe get close to that by using one of the stock mouth vector or something. So there's a lot of really funny ones. I know someone posted a picture earlier of Pinkie Pie holding all those like really prickly things, and she has this really great, really cartoony expression, like obviously in pain but trying to smile during that. That whole scene had some really great facial animation on Pinkie Pie. But there was a lot of really great great faces from Pinky in this episode. Anything else for humor or animation visuals that anyone wants to point out that we might have missed? Yeah, there's that really creepy excited Pinky as she finds when she finds out that Starlight and Maud have met in the past.
Then it will turn into Modcraft.
Oh God. Yep. In your nightmares. Pinkie Pie also and Maud also have wear similar pajamas to what they were in Equestria Girls and Rainbow Rocks in that sleepover scene. Pinkies are a little different. It's similar colors, but they don't have the balloons on them like they did in Equestria Girls. But I believe Maud's is pretty much exactly the same, just obviously in pony form. I didn't really take a close look at the eels. I mean, to me, they looked like they were pretty much about the same. They might be a little bit more complex than they were back then, but I think they might be a little more detailed this time, especially that saliva in the mouth there. But they're basically the same design though. They only appeared very briefly in May the Best Pet Win, when they were flying through the gorge. Although we do see one coming out of one of the holes and going into another one, so we kind of see its whole body, where we haven't. And May the Best Pet Win, we only saw the first half, like we see in the picture in the chat there. Okay, no songs, but we can move on to the music. Now this is going to be a little hard this week because for whatever reason they still haven't actually released this episode online on iTunes, Google Play, etc. Officially yet. The only place I've seen it posted was in Discovery Channel's app. So for whatever reason, I suppose you usually post it early Sunday morning, but they still haven't posted it yet. So I don't know if there's some sort of technical issues or something else going on with the episode. But because of that, I don't actually have the score ripped. So I'm just gonna have to kind of scrub through the episode here using the TV rip here and just using the back channel, so it won't be quite as good a quality as normal, but I can at least highlight a couple of things that I wanted to highlight, even if we won't be able to hear quite anything quite as clearly, so at least not for now. So kind of episode starts off right away in the graduation scene, so I'll just kind of play a little bit of that. For that, we have a simple version of Pomp and Circumstance, the normal graduation music. So we just they use that exact same music here. It's very old, obviously, so you don't have to worry about copyright or anything for it. So they just go ahead and use that verbatim here. Let me see if I can increase the audio here, since this is there we go. So, since I'm just playing this directly from the episode, so I haven't boosted it.
No, just you, actually. Fillies and tentacles. What is that magnesium-rich basalt? It is my honor to present our valedictorian, Maud Pye. Excuse me, Dr. Pye.
So that continues to the end of the scene there. So we get a little bit of pomp and circumstance for Maud's graduation there. Let's see where we can go to next. Here we go. I think this is the next one, 11:50. Let me fast forward here. So this is where no, it's 88. Okay, let me go back. This is the score from when Maud is telling the story of how she knows Starlight. So right away in this scene here, we'll hear Starlight's, very brief version of Starlight's old motif from the season 5 premiere. And you'll see why I can't use the TV stream audio for these things, because since it's really compressed, there's a lot of audio bleed in between all of the channels, so you can hear a lot more of the vocals than usual here. But you can right at the beginning there, you could hear Starlight's old leitmotif there. Let me see. I'm just trying to go through my track listing here and see if there was what else there is to point out. What's a Rocky story? Let's see. Forget what this is. Let me see what this is. Oh yeah, here we go. This is going to be
This tells me he's over 2,000 years old.
some more simple things while they're in the gem cave here. I want to go to the next part here, and this is where that underground cavern paradise is first introduced here. So we get this really grandiose sounding score here.
It's granite.
Let's see. Let me see this next one. Let's go right to the to kind of the emotional climax here. So we're skip forward to the end of the episode here, and this is going to be the starting here with them running away from the eels, and then we get to the part where Maud is hanging off the cliff face and Pinky's talking to her. And this is kind of that the very emotional part, the emotional climax of the episode. And so we have this really, really nice emotional score to back Pinky's dialogue here. And then as the track continues, as they're walking out of the gorge, we get some more nice music to back that kind of the emotional dialogue as it continues. And this is a little cue that we heard. This next one here, this little glockenspiel cue here, is actually one that we heard at the end, near the end of Maud Pie's original episode, Maud Pie, when she is talking to Pinky on right after she saves Pinky from the being trapped in that giant rock tower. From there, we get to the end of the episode here with Maud and Starlight flying kites. When we are then shown Maud's new residence, we hear that very grandiose, epic score that we heard earlier for the cavern scene as well, and that leads us to the end of the episode. that takes us to the end of the episode. So can't show quite as much as I'd like to. There's a lot of smaller things in there as well. But since that's all I got right now, that's what we can show. So a lot of smaller tracks this in this episode. So there's not like a lot of really long ones, but there's a lot of really short cues that were nice or emotional, or maybe some recurring theme or recurring cue for the series. We got that new location score for Maud's new home there, I guess, as well, and a couple of other returning things, and of course that big emotional score as Pinky's talking there at the emotional climax of the episode. So that's it for the score this week. Well, what does everyone think of the episode's theme and moral?
Alrighty, as far as the can't force people to be your friends, and trying to do so is just going to make it work. Better to let things run their course and grow. Just because something's fun and engaging for you doesn't mean that other people will also find it enjoyable. And forcing people to try to bond or have fun your way is only going to ruin what otherwise might have been a pleasant time. In short, don't be a dick.
Yep. I think that pretty much hits it right on the head there. Favorite parts and any remaining concerns for the episode?
I actually thought of a couple of things, a couple points of we missed in humor. There was one point where Pinky actually basically shoved Maud forward to, head over towards Starlight, and you actually saw a minor thing where Maud's eyes kind of bugged out when she was pushed forward.
The only time you ever see a semi-different expression on Maud.
And then when they were first in the Crystal Caverns, when Pinky was showing Maud about all those crystals and stuff in the walls, you hear like this harpsichord kind of playing, but then Maud's over and the camera pans over to where Pinky's actually playing the harp off screen. But again, my favorite parts of the episode was basically Maud's line there. I didn't get a doctorate because I could shred on a guitar like anyone else. And then, like, Derby getting hit in the head with the pizza box.
I think my favorite thing is just how unexpected a lot of things were in this episode. I guess the unexpected involvement of Starlight and the unexpected friendship building between her and Maud was I was not expecting that in this episode at all. I mean, that came completely out of left field, and I loved it. And Nick was executed it really well.
Say, Maud is always welcome. Just more Maud is always welcome. But we didn't just get Maud. We actually got, a reasoning for why Maud is kind of the way she is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's even mentions herself that the part of the reason why she loves rocks is that they don't exclude you for being, different than anyone else.
Yep.
They're not judgmental, and that's actually kind of deep.
And of course, Starlight really relates to that, and it provides a good reasoning why they kind of get each other and are able to bond as friends, because they can both relate to that. And I like how she says, "Oh, rocks are kind of growing on me," and Maud kind of says the same thing about kites as well.
Say, minor little thing, but also kind of like how they kind of give a little bit of very minor thing with Boulder as well. It's like Maud's like said, "You see this line here? That means he's over 2,000 years old. You don't look a day over 600." I say, "Oh well, at least you get a little bit of minor thing." I'm kind of curious as to exactly how she came across him to begin with, but. I still kind of wonder if Boulder's maybe just there's more to him than meets the eye. Because I remember that one little issue from like Maud's beginning episode, her debut episode, where She starts to feed him, that sandwich. She places it right down next to him and nudges it closer to him. The camera, pans off at some point, or it jump cuts to something else. But then when it cuts back to Maude and Boulder, that sandwich is gone.
Yeah.
And we did see that that little screenshot with Boulder sitting on the tree stump next to
The gigantic axe.
with that tiny little knit cap that he's wearing. Yet he's still surrounded by like piles of like just evenly cleaved logs, and it's kind of like, I know it's just mainly a joke, but at the same time, I just kind of can't help but just entertain the thought.
Excuse me a second.
So, what are everyone's overall feelings and final conclusions for the episode?
You know what? No, I'm not even going to make the pun. I've already indulged myself on this one. I've already indulged so many on these. But
I really don't take episodes like this for granted.
Oh. Or with the rock jokes.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Nick really delivered again here. I mean, I really wish he was writing more episodes this season, just because I hope he comes back next season for more episodes, because he's really turned into one of my favorite writers, especially for comedy. Any episode that involves a lot of comedy, it's just he writes it really well, and he writes the characters comedy wise really well. But also did a lot of really great character building and kind of emotional story in this episode as well. I really, really, really like this episode, and yeah, it's just fun to watch. I mean, not there's a good amount to discuss, and maybe not as much to discuss in this episode as other ones, but I really think a lot of parts of the episode really speak for itself, and I just really enjoyed it. And yay, potentially more Maud in the future. Again, there's a lot of episodes this season that are, how much of this is setting up for stuff that might come later in the season in terms of, Starlight, making another friend here, Maud moving closer to Ponyville. Be interesting to see kind of, again, where we might be going this season going forward. Oh, God, sedimentary. Oh! That's the best part of Maud episodes, is the rock puns.
Yeah, I have to say this was probably one of the best written episodes we've had of this season. That having been said, this is only the fourth episode we've had in this particular episode, this particular season.
I mean,
so
the beginning of the season has been really strong so far, I think. I mean, I really liked Celestial Advice. I really liked all battled up. The Flurry Heart episode last week was just funny and fun. And this one was both funny and fun and had a good kind of emotional core to it. So looking forward to kind of seeing where we go from here this season. But so far the writers and Joanne and Christine as story editors have really knocked it out, and I'm happy to see them really not. Joanne and Christine really aren't playing games with Starlight here. She's been very involved this season. Sorry haters. I mean, she's here to stay, and she's getting more involvement and some more really good episodes for the show. So I'm glad to see that additional involvement that they're giving her in the episodes, at least to start the season out here. But at the same time, not overshadowing Twilight, because we had, last week and even the opening episode really focused on Twilight as well. So it's kind of a nice balance between kind of new Twilight and old Twilight. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for participating in this week's Triple E episode. We'll be back next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for episode 5 of season 7. Fluttershy Leans In. So we'll be live chatting with that episode's premiere on Discovery Family this weekend at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come on by and chat with us as we watch the episode. And again, we'll be discussing that episode next Tuesday for episode, I believe, 86 here of Triple E. So yeah, make sure you stop on by. This weekend, of course, we have a lot of stuff programmed. We'll be announcing what we'll be doing the following weekend for CQFs. We'll be announcing that this Saturday as well. So make sure you stop by. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, for Triple E. We'll see you next week then. So see you, everyone. Bye bye.
Later, folks.
See you.